Hello, this is a video for our longer mountain events for things like the Welsh 3000s, the National Three Peaks, that type of thing. So not one day mountain events, essentially those that are over a weekend or perhaps longer. So very much like any other mountain event, you're going to need your core basic stuff, i.e. waterproof socks for the next part of this walk, I think. My goodness. So you're going to need things like, starting from the top, a hat, just a fleece hat. The lighter that is, the better. If you've got one, bobble hats, that sort of thing will do the job. Coming down from there, a neck gaiter or a buff. Thank you. They are ideal because a buff it gives you a really flexible boost of warm temperature, but also can be pulled up over your mouth and nose. So if there's a wind blowing, wind blown rain, hail or snow, anything like that, not that I'm suggesting bad weather is inevitable, but you can't predict the temperatures at higher altitudes. So being ready for that, super useful. Coming down, starting from the core and working out, some kind of wicking base layer. Cotton t-shirts like this one, not so much use unless you're used to them. So cotton won't wick sweat quite as well as technical fabrics. They do wick it more quickly. In other words, they take it from the skin through the fabric out and they move through your layering system. In other words, sweat is taken through the fabric, it's taken into your next layer, which might be a fleece or it might be a waterproof, and then that exits out of the jacket. Just a quick aside, how does that work, Jeff? How does rain not get in? If you'll forgive me the non-scientific parlance that I'm about to use, sweat droplets are effectively vapor, they're not droplets. Therefore vapor moves out of these tiny porous holes in the jacket fabric. Rainwater therefore can't get in. So that's the general method about how these waterproof fabrics work being the key word there, the operative word. Okay, so we've done t-shirts, so technical fabrics. You know what that looks like. It's sort of those t-shirts that are quite technical. They're sort of, I just said the same thing twice. They're more of a sporty material, if that makes sense. Often there's a bit of give in them, and you can usually feel that they're a little bit lighter than a standard cotton t-shirt. Right, next, a fleece layer that goes on top of this. Even if you've got no intention whatsoever of using it, I can strongly recommend it, because ultimately we're going to be there's a lot of water there. We're going to be stopping for breaks. We're going to be having some sit down, some enjoying of the views, and of course as we walk up and then downhill, you're going to find that your temperature changes significantly. You want to be able to take that off, put it back on, and actually keep it in the bag for when we stop and you just want, oh gosh, I'm cooling down a bit here, Jeff. A couple more minutes, folks, and we'll move, might be my answer. You want to be able to be comfortable during that couple more minutes while everyone finishes the bite to eat they're having or takes pictures or whatever they're doing. Out from that, waterproof coat, windproof too. So this serves two purposes, or maybe three if you want, if we go back to our earlier discussion. But it's keeping you dry and it's keeping you warm because it won't let the wind in. So a good one is useful. Let's move down. The underwear, I'm going to leave that to you, Your Honour. And then we will obviously have shorts, we'll have trousers, we'll have leggings, or some variant. You're going to want, as you will with t-shirts, by the way, this is an important point, and this is where this second reason this kit list differs, right, from our usual one, is you're going to want more than one. You're going to have multiple days. So if you think one will I'll survive with one, it's fine, not a problem. You might want to wash it. Great. What if it doesn't dry? If it gets wet on day one, will you be comfortable with no drying room, let's say, if we don't have one? Put it on day two. So, and that goes for tops and bottoms. It goes for socks. It goes for pretty much everything. Gloves. So, having a bit of extra in any of those things I've just mentioned: socks, gloves, hat, t-shirts or base layers. trousers, shorts or leggings, having flexibility in those will be beneficial. It goes for shoes or boots too as well, or two. So just think, give some thought to that, please, folks, because it will be beneficial to you to consider what you do there. Okay, what else, Jeff? What else? Socks, waterproof, brilliant. You can have boots if you want. You can have trainers. I personally would wear walking trainers or running trainers with a pair of waterproof socks. Save myself a load of money by not buying boots. And when people say, oh, you got your ankle support, what ankle support? They're not splints. The only way you can support your ankle fully from not rolling is by putting a splint on it. Boot tops will not stop your ankle from rolling. So don't believe a word of that nonsense, folks. It's just not true. Okay, so all of that being said, if you've got boots, obviously, you can of course happily use them. But I personally, if I'm going out there and I'm thinking, what am I going to use? I would prefer to use walking or running trainers and a pair of waterproof socks. If you can, 2 pairs of waterproof socks. See my earlier note there in this video on having some flexibility, right? Okay, what else? We've got down to boots, we've got down to socks. I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, you're going to need a bag on your back. We've done our body. Now let's look at the peripherals. You're going to need a bag to carry stuff in, right? So make sure you've got something that's comfortable. The less stuff hanging off it, i.e. straps that don't need to be on there, big heavy buckles that could have been done with a smaller, lighter plastic alternative, whatever, that lightens your bag. And every foot of height you go up, you will be relieved by having bought the lighter choice, even if that lighter choice is perhaps a little bit more expensive. If you can afford it, buy light. I use Black Diamond rucksacks. They're not the cheapest, but they're not that expensive in comparison to a lot of these other brands. And you can look and you can see how stripped down they are, how slimline they are. You see me with the same bag pretty much on most of my videos. This is my second one that I've had, the orange one. There's a reason, folks. I use it on all my events because it's that. I can get everything that I need for a group up to about 12 people, let's say. And that includes all my safety stuff, my first aid stuff, my bothy bags. This is my what, Jeff? I hear you scream. It's a bag. I've got 2 of them now. One sits 4 people in, one sits 2 people in. We're constantly increasing our kit for emergencies and safety and first aid and stuff on the events. And this year I got another one. I think it was in March or April. So we've now got capacity to keep 6 people at any one time out of the wind, out of the rain, huddled together. It's super warm. And I tell you what, we don't ever want to use it in this way, but it has the capacity to save lives. It really does. So they both do. So thinking about that, I'm not saying you need bothy bags. But if you've got your own medication, of course, bring it. But just think, light bag, easy to carry, less stuff on it, the better. You need a good lid pocket, potentially. So you've got your stuff you need as a matter of urgency. That's handy and that's easily accessible. And then you want a big pocket, the main bit of the bag you want there, so that you can just do all your stuff in. Not as an essential piece of kit, this next bit. Sorry about this, guys. I'm on a road now, so it's going to be a bit noisy. This isn't an essential piece of kit, but my goodness, it helps. 2 of these, even better. I put all my stuff inside a seal-lined bag, so it's a roll-top bag. Very difficult to show you with one hand on the phone over here. I'm going to swap anyway. But it's a roll-top bag that's completely waterproof. That goes in, everything goes in that. Inside that is another one of those bags. That's where my lunch goes. And I've got a third small one. They're not that expensive. And I just put all my rubbish in that, or any rubbish or litter that I find on the route. That way, nothing can pollute anything else. So my food can't get to my clothes. My rubbish can't get to my food or my clothes. And finally, my water. For you may have a bottle already, or one of these bladder systems, you know, the ones where you see the pipe coming over and people drink it out. Oh, that's what I use, because that means I can drink whenever I want, preferably before I get thirsty. But you know, it doesn't always work that way, does it? We know what it's like in the real world. So having a bladder, having that pipe you can just quickly drink out of, it's fantastic, really flexible. I think, folks, I've covered everything. But if you've got questions, or if you think, hang on a minute, you never mentioned that, of course, let me know. It might be that whatever that is not our specific hit list for this event, but for this type of event, sorry. But maybe it is. Maybe you've got something there you think, actually, Jeff, if you considered this, please let me know. I'd be very interested to hear, and it'll make, hopefully, if it's a good suggestion, it'll make our events better too. If you have any questions, do please get in touch. It's jeff@focusedperformance.co.uk, jeff@focusedperformance.co.uk, and I look forward to welcoming you on an event soon. Catch you later.